Hello and welcome to our Year 8 Parents Information meeting, our webinar about the Year 8 options and studying GCSEs over 3 years. Thank you for your patience with this and apologies for the poor quality of the audio the last time. This is why we've had to re-record the presentation. So thank you for your patience and forbearance on this. We'll cover any of the questions that were asked in the previous presentation, but if having watched this again you find that you've got any other questions, can you address them via the admin@ballyvalenschool.co.uk email address, and we will respond to those in due course. Okay. So a little bit of background now. The reformed GCSEs, they are all on stream now, and what this means is that there is minimal coursework or controlled assessment, and in actual fact there's been an increased content which is on a par with the old AS exams taken at the end of year 12. And in addition to that, there are tougher criteria for the skills element of the exams. So we should all be familiar with the new GCSE grading structure now, and you can see it is now a numerical grading structure with 9 as the grade above A star, and it broadly matches the old GCSE grades in the style that you can see on this this diagram. So, why have we chosen to study GCSEs over 3 years at Ballyvalence School? Well, one of the key areas that we felt needed addressing was to enable the students to have in-depth enrichment, which didn't detract from their course. So under the previous 2-year GCSE course, they would have limited days in which we could approve in-depth enrichment trips. So for example, a joint history and art trip to London, for example, would have been difficult to manage in the 2-year course. Potentially, it gives us the opportunity to offer additional qualifications if that was deemed appropriate and it was something which suited the students. So over the last couple of years, some students have done GCSE statistics, and it just gives us a little bit of flexibility to be able to do that. And we also felt that it was an opportunity to offer the separate sciences to give students who wish to do science, engineering, or any of the medical degrees at university the best possible chance of doing so. It also works in our favour because we feel that we want to support students who benefit from the extra time in covering the increased course content. So for those students who might have struggled under the 2-year course, this gives them extra time to build their confidence, build their subject knowledge, and build the skills that they require for the new GCSEs. It also gives us the opportunity to study any topics in greater breadth and depth. Often, if you were having a discussion, so for example, in my subject history, it might take an interesting detour that you would wish to develop. But under the old system, you might have not quite had the time to do that, and if every lesson is vital, then there could be difficulties in doing that. So this gives us an opportunity on the spur of the moment to study topics in greater breadth and depth, or as part of a planned course to study them and place them in greater context, so that will further develop the knowledge and understanding of the courses. But ultimately, it is to maximise our students' chances of securing the very best outcomes at the end of Year 11, enabling them to take the next step in their education or career journey. One of the unintended consequences of studying GCSEs over 3 years was in actual fact to reduce the impact of COVID-19. Students had actually covered a significant amount of the GCSE courses, and by studying the GCSEs over the 3 years, this has meant that we have not had to narrow the curriculum. We have not had to take any subjects out of the GCSE options. So I think that has enabled us to continue to deliver the very best curriculum for our students. Students will still receive the excellent support and guidance throughout the process. The range of options will remain as broad as possible, and students will follow courses which suit them and their aspirations. And I'd just like to reiterate that, and I'm absolutely convinced that this will secure the best possible outcomes for your sons and daughters, and therefore the best possible start at the next stage of the journey into education or the workplace. So, some very quick advice. What is the EBAC? That's something that is mentioned a lot. And this is a group of subjects: English, Maths, Science, French, History or Geography, which the government would like you to study. I'd like to say that this is not compulsory at Manavalum, although there is an EBAC option block to allow you to study the EBAC should you want to. As I said earlier, if you want to follow a science, engineering, medical or veterinarian pathway, then the separate sciences are the best options. And a word of advice on art, music, performing arts and photography. These require real commitment and a love of the subject. You will build and research portfolios and provide exemplars of work over the 3 years of your course. So there has to be the absolute commitment to those subjects. They demand a lot of discipline, a lot of resilience, as well as creativity. Options, do's and don'ts. These won't have changed over the 30 years that I've been involved in education. Do choose the subjects that you're interested in. Do choose those subjects that will enable you to pursue your chosen career. Don't choose what your friends will be doing. It's your career pathway, and you may end up in different classes anyway. Don't choose according to the teacher. You might not get that particular teacher. And don't worry about your pathway. Even if at this stage you're not clear on what you want to do, subjects and offer at Manavalum will secure any pathway that you want to follow post-16. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Curtis, who will talk in detail about the process, and we'll discuss how you go choosing your options.
Okay, so the curriculum for the core subjects is broken up as the diagram shows. All students will cover English lessons, and within the English lessons they separate English language and English literature over the 3 years that they're studying English. Maths, Science combined, even if the students take triple science, they will still take the Science combined course. RE, which is Religious Studies, Worldwide Views, as well as Careers within that course, is an examined course that everybody takes. And Core PE, it doesn't have an exam at the end of it. It's to support their well-being and their fitness. So that over the 2-week cycle, there's the 30 hours of the core subjects covered. The option subjects, which is 5 hours per option choice over the 2-week period, they're the subjects that are on offer for the students to choose from. Reiterate what Mr. Oak has already said. It's the students do need to make sure that they choose what they enjoy. They are taking a subject for 3 years. They need to make sure that they are comfortable with that subject. They know they're going to gain a lot out of it and enjoy those lessons. Consider assessment methods. The vast majority now are all exam based. There are some subjects that do have portfolio exam methods. All of that information is in the options booklet that's been shared with the students. And during the assemblies for all of the subjects have shared their assessment methods and the content with the students. Make sure you keep your options open. If you are unsure about what your next steps are, make sure you think about a broad and balanced choice of subjects. And reiterate, it's your choice, it's not your peers. So our option columns are as the diagram shows. The option A is limited in terms of the choices available, but that is the EBAC option. So everybody does need to choose one of those subjects. If you are currently in core intervention, there may be an option that actually you continue with intervention if that's what Ms. Coulson sees as the right path for you. But that will be individual conversations with individual students. So the students choose French, history or geography in A, option B, business studies, design technology, and that is RMT and textiles together. You specialise in one of them, in either or, when it comes to the actual manufacturing and making of a product. The theory in the exam is the same exam. Food, geography, music technology and photography. Option C, art, history, French, sports science. And just reiterate what the students have already been told about sports science. It is theory. There is no practical in sports science. It's the theory behind sporting activities and how the human body works. Photography, child development. Option D, art, business studies, performing arts, design technology, and triple science. So the students will choose their options with their first choices and then a reserve choice for each of their option columns. We can't guarantee that every student will get their first choice. We will do everything we possibly can to make sure that happens, but due to numbers, if there's a really big high percentage of the students wanting to choose music, for example, we are a small school with only one music teacher, so there might be a position where they will have to look at their reserves. I will have that conversation with their students if that situation arises. So the students this week have actually been making those choices. They will have received an email similar to this through to their school email addresses, and they press the accept invitation. They choose to sign in with Office 365 option. All of their details is already recorded and uploaded ready. They just press the register button, and then they get their option choices. It starts obviously with option A, goes down to option D, and the students have to click on the word for the subject, and that makes it go blue. That's their first choice. If they then click on reserve, the choice that they want to be putting down as their reserve, that then goes orange. The students then need to go to the top left-hand corner, and there's a save button, a little cloud icon. They click that, and then there's the panel just along this strip here turns green. That means that the students know that it's been saved. They get a list of their choices, and then that goes then through to myself, and then over the next week, 2 weeks, I'll be reviewing those class groups and looking at if we need to have any conversations with the individual students. This is what's been going on behind the scenes, and where we currently are at. So all subject choices have had assemblies with the pupils, sharing what the content is, showing what their assessment processes are, and encouraging the students to have conversations with the teachers and heads of department to discuss in further detail what their subject entails. Option booklet has been on the website ever since those assemblies have taken place. Tutors throughout this time have been having conversations and checking in with their Year 8 tutees to see where they're at with their thinking. Our webinar that took place on the 22nd of April, and then continual ongoing conversations with teachers and as yourselves as parents. And this week I've been supporting the students in the IT rooms, looking at and submitting those options. It doesn't mean that they are set in stone. I have to explain to all the students that they have got a bit of time over the next few weeks. If they submit their options but then think, actually, I've made a mistake, I want to do this, that's absolutely fine. They just need to come and speak with me, which a few of them already have done. That's absolutely fine, and I can then overwrite what they originally submitted. Deadline is the 3rd of May, and once all of that information is in, I'll have individual meetings if needed And then once we've then created the whole school timetable, all of that information will be put in our school management system, and then information will then be sent to the students confirming what subjects that they've been given. Maybe back to Mr. Edgar.
Just a little comment or two on if looking further ahead in the future, you are considering going to sixth form at Quegs. This is obviously the natural sort of stepping stone to higher education. We've got a long and successful history of partnerships between the two schools. Not only that, but we've got very successful transition from Ballymalin to Quegs, and they offer a wide range of courses, pastoral support and enrichment at Quegs. Looking ahead, you would require 4 grade 6s and 2 grade 4s, including English language and maths. And you really would need the 6s to study the A-level grades, at Quegs. That will make the transition that much easier. So later on, there will be information coming out about the sixth form at Quegs. There'll be careers evenings. We do a joint year 10 project. There's year 11 assemblies. There'll be a sixth form information evening in the October of year 11. And there'll be a number of open afternoons and the induction week after GCSEs. So, questions that were asked at the previous webinar. Somebody asked why there was no computing on offer. My response was quite simple. The actual recruitment of good computing teachers is very, very difficult. Therefore, we want to offer options that will be delivered and taught well. We are always on the lookout for good quality staff, and if good quality computing staff become available, then we would look into doing that. As Mr. Curtis has mentioned, and there was a question about core intervention. If you are choosing to do core intervention, then you wouldn't necessarily study option A. So there would be no need to put anything in that option block. That will be addressed when the option choices are made in the IT lab. And somebody asked about the lack of parents' evenings at this moment in time. We are planning to and hoping to have one after restrictions are lifted. We hope to have that as a face-to-face parents' evening, but equally there is a degree of flexibility built into the process. There will be the opportunity to change options following the parents' evening, but equally we retain the ability to sort of change options by the October half term in year 9. That allows it, an element of sort of just seeing how the course goes. So there will be the flexibility there. There are the opportunities to change, and so that will hopefully put to one side any fears that you may have. It just remains for me to say thank you very much, and apologies for the delay in getting this out due to the sound problems we had before. I'm hoping that the cheering in the background, which you won't be surprised to hear is not for us, but is a PE lesson that will be reduced. But I want to thank you for your patience, thank you for your support, and thank you for your cooperation over the next few weeks. Thank you very much indeed, and goodbye.